Welcome into the DNVR Rockies Podcast. I'm your host, Suzie Hunter. And of course, I have Kale producing right here alongside me. Hello, Kale. We've made so much good work this week. So much more to come. That's a tease.
That's a tease. Nobody knows what we have cooking, but we're cooking.
We're cooking. We are cooking. Guys, let's talk about, I have a question for you. Here's the thing. I have a question for you. How many ballparks have you been to? I've been to them all, but the funny thing is more and more of all the veteran writers with this new schedule where all the teams play each other, more and more of these veteran writers and reporters are finally finishing their ballpark tours too. And one of those guys is Patrick Saunders of the Denver Post. So we brought him in to talk about that and to talk about the business of baseball and most importantly, what it's really like to cover the Colorado Rockies. Joining the pod now, we have Patrick Saunders, the king of Rockies for the Denver Post. How are you doing, though? Great to have you in studio.
Well, thank you. I'm not sure what you mean by king of Rockies. Is that a compliment or not? No, I'm kidding.
It's a compliment. It's a compliment. You own that coverage. How many seasons in are you at this point?
Oh, my, Suzie. I've been doing it. I joined the Rockies beat, moved from the Broncos beat in 2005. Mm-hmm. And then I was an editor for 2 years, so I missed the Rockies season. In 2010 and 2011, I was an editor at the Post, and then I've been doing it ever since.
Okay.
It's a long time.
You've seen a lot of ups and downs then.
Yes, I have.
But you've also now seen all the ballparks, which is why I wanted to definitely get you in and talk about
these.
these.
That's something you and I kind of, first time we ever met, we kind of shared that affinity, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because you've been so close for so long.
Yeah.
And you finally got a chance to finish it this season. You went to Toronto. Yeah.
Correct.
I mean, how long were you sitting at 29? How long were you sitting at 28?
Oh, gosh. Let's see. I did a story back in the pandemic in 2020. Mm-hmm. And at that point, I still needed two. Mm-hmm. I needed the new ballpark down in Arlington, which is Globe Life Field.
Globe Life Field, yep.
I still needed that. That was just about to open during the pandemic year. Mm-hmm. And then I needed Toronto. Mm-hmm. So I did Arlington, I think, 2022, if I'm not mistaken. And then the Rockies rarely go to Toronto.
Yeah.
Right? They hadn't been for years. So finally I convinced my editor to say, hey, listen, one of the road trips I want to do, I want to go to Toronto. One, I wanted to see the city because it's a wonderful city. Mm-hmm. Two, I wanted to finish out my ballpark tour.
Yeah. How does it feel to get them all done?
It was awesome.
You've seen them all now.
It was awesome. You know, it's funny. You and I kind of share that affinity. I think most baseball fans, Suzie, one of the charms of baseball, and if you're not a baseball fan, you're not going to get it.
Yeah.
But if you are a baseball fan, one of the charms of baseball is the ballpark, the venue, how it sits in the city, what it looks like, what's the crowd vibe like, how is the outfield shaped, what do the scoreboards look like, all that stuff. It's cool. Mm-hmm. Some of them are not very good. Some of them are fantastic.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like a really cool thing to finish. You know, who knows how many more years I'm going to be covering baseball, but I finally got it done. So that was cool.
I'm so glad that you got it done.
Yeah.
That's the thing about ballparks, though. Yeah, it's so fun to see all of them because no two of them are the same. Like, after I finished the tour, people were like, oh, are you going to do NFL next? I'm like, why? No. They're all the same field.
Yes.
But that's not the case in baseball.
Exactly. You know, and you know, the football field, of course, is always the same. And yes, there's differences in what do we call Mile High now? Empower Field?
Empower Field, yeah.
Right. Now, to me, the old Mile High Stadium, because I covered the Broncos for a lot of years. I grew up here, grew up going there. Mm-hmm. There was a unique vibe about that place, right? At least to me. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. Football seems, they can be loud and be intimidating for the opposition and all that stuff. It's just not the same as baseball to me.
It's not the same.
But I'm a baseball romantic, so there you go.
How can you not be?
Exactly.
How can you not be? Now, in 2020, you wrote an article for the Post where you ranked all the ballparks.
Right.
Even though there are only two that you hadn't been to. You'd been to so many others. Has your ranking changed since writing that story, now that you've seen a couple more?
Yeah, a little bit, for a couple reasons. you'd have to include the 2 new ones, 2 I hadn't seen before. And one of the ballparks that keeps going up in my list would be Petco in San Diego. And I think, Susie, and you've been there.
Yeah.
It's in a great locale, right near the gas lamp quarter. Beautiful building. It's really, but I think when I did this originally, the Padres sucked, and nobody was showing up. Right? They'd spent a bunch of money back in 2015, and they flopped. But in the last couple years, they've been competitive, and they've been leading, or not leading, but close to the top in attendance. And once that ballpark started filling up, the vibe changed. And it's a great vibe now. And it's got great ballpark food. The sightlines are good. It's in a great neighborhood. So Petco has risen for me. And Rogers Center, I don't know, when did you go to Rogers Center?
I mean, I went to every single one of them in 2021.
Oh, so that was all in one year?
I'd been to many of them before, but like I hit them all. I hit a lot of them, almost all of them, most of them during a single year. So I was even lucky to go to Rogers Center because it wasn't open. Like the border to Canada was not open when I started the trip.
Yeah, I remember.
So I had to go to the AAA ballpark where the Blue Jays were playing. That was crazy.
Was it Buffalo?
It was Buffalo, yeah. So it was very weird seeing like a legitimate major league team who was good playing in such a small stadium.
Yeah.
It was absolutely wild. But I was so glad I was able to go to Rogers Center. That is also an incredible ballpark.
Well, the reason I ask, because when I saw them in April, saw the Blue Jays and the Rockies in April, they had just completely finished a multi-million-dollar renovation.
Oh, okay.
And a lot of people said they thought it was a much better ballpark. And, I'm not a big fan of indoor ballparks just because it's,
because it's not in the spirit of the game,
No, but there are better indoor ballparks than others. Like Chase Field in Arizona is a dump. Right? I mean,
they know it. They know it too.
Too.
The roof's broken.
Every Rockies player I've ever talked to, no player I've ever talked to likes playing.
That's
it's
hilarious.
dingy. It's dark. It looks like a warehouse. It's awful. What used to be called Miller Park, it's now American Family Field in Milwaukee.
Family Field, yeah.
A little better. The Tropicana Dome or whatever is in Tampa is really bad.
Oh, you know what? It's so funny. So that has always been that's the worst one, right? And then my mom went there. So like she tagged along when the Rockies were playing their last season. It's her favorite ballpark because it's 72 degrees. She doesn't have to worry about the wind blowing her hair around.
Oh.
Like she's the target audience. And like, she's not even like an old person. Like she's just like, nah, like I'm an indoor person. This was a great way to watch a game.
It's like somebody's basement.
You know what? She liked it. It was so weird. So I've seen it like ever since she said that. I'm like, I am seeing it through a different lens now because you're gonna find your audience no matter what you're putting out there. It might be big, it might be small.
Yeah,
but...
of the indoor parks, before I went to Rogers Center, I thought Minute Maid in Houston was pretty cool. I thought that had a good vibe.
Yeah.
But Rogers Center is close to Minute Maid. It was very fresh feeling. It was very bright. They have the hotel where you can see the hotel windows.
I would love to stay in that hotel.
Our good friend Thomas Harding stayed at that hotel.
Of course he did.
During the thing. Now, he didn't have one of the windows overlooking the field. But I was impressed with Rogers Center. I liked it a lot.
You get any poutine?
Yes, I did.
Good. Did you like it?
It was okay.
Did Thomas eat any?
I'm sure he did.
Our famous picky eater.
Oh, my God.
Selective
Thomas.
eater.
Yes.
Let's take a quick break to talk about Indeed. Indeed is driven by the search for better. But when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search at all. Don't search, match with Indeed. So if you need to hire, you need Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with more than 350 million global visitors, according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast so you can ditch all the busy work. Use Indeed for scheduling, screening, messaging, so you can connect with better candidates faster. And Indeed doesn't just help you hire faster. 93% of employers agree that Indeed delivers the highest quality matches compared with other job sites, according to a recent Indeed study. So all listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/AllCity. Just go to Indeed.com/AllCity, all caps, one word, right now, and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/ALLCITY. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed. You might need a trip to Circa Resorts and Casino. Kale, I think you're going there like in 30 seconds, very soon.
By the time this airs, I might be on a plane.
Circa is like that. It is that place. It is that place. It's going viral because they have Stadium Swim. Stadium Swim is a 4,000 person capacity swimming area. They got a ton of pools. They're open all year, but the 143-foot LED screen, that is the showstopper. You can watch all the sports all year round from 6 pools. They have swim-up bars, cabanas, super cabanas, where you can have 50 people. That is a big party right there. But here's the thing. You can experience Stadium Swim and watch all of your favorite teams at Circa Resort and Casino. Now back to the interview. I love that you were able to finish this. Love that you liked Rogers Center.
Yeah.
I got to be there. The windows were open when I was there.
Oh, see, not us. And did they have the roof open?
The roof was the roof was open.
And I've heard that's great because you can see the CNN tower.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
I was so glad that it was open because otherwise I'm like, I might not have liked it as much if I only was there for the indoor portion of it.
Yeah.
But also, like, when I was there, it was like the first weekend that they were like at a bigger capacity because they were at like such a smaller capacity before, being cautious. We were just coming out of the pandemic, but it was just I was like, oh wow, this is a vibe right here. And so everyone was so excited though. It added to the energy because they were so excited to be back in that capacity because we really hadn't been in so long.
Exactly. Yeah, because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you, and then you can ask me.
The interviewer becomes the interviewee.
Yeah.
Let's go.
What's number one on your list?
Oh my gosh. Okay.
You remember?
I don't have a number one. I'll give you a top 3.
Okay.
Because
That's
I just
fair.
had such unique experiences everywhere I went. So I loved Seattle.
Okay.
Loved Pittsburgh.
Yep.
Who doesn't?
Yep.
Love Cleveland.
Really? Those
Cleveland
are your
is
top 3?
in my top 3. I can't include Coors Field in it because I'm biased. I've spent so much time here. I can't include Citizens Bank Park in there where the Phillies play because, again, so biased.
Okay.
So I had to keep my top 3 out of my everyday ballparks.
That's quite the list. Okay, my number 1. No, it is.
Thank you.
My number 1 is PNC in Pittsburgh.
Yeah. It's great.
I love that ballpark. I actually have it up on my screen. I'm looking at it now. You
can't beat that view.
No, the way it's laid out, the downtown Pittsburgh's right behind it. Roberto Clemente Bridge. Mm-hmm. It's going across the Allegheny right before it turns into the Ohio.
Geography king.
It's unbelievable.
It's beautiful.
And the structure of the ballpark mirrors the city's bridges, and it's a reflection of the Steel City and the whole thing. And it has the limestone walls. It's really awesome. It feels old time with a really nice modern amenities. I just think it's phenomenal. Number 2 on my list is Oracle Park in San Francisco.
Oh, that's a good one. My only knock is the weather. It's just so cold there at night, every single night. There is not a warm night there.
That's true. Well, except in late September.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
That time of year it gets okay. But you're right. But I love it because they jammed a ballpark into a pretty small area, and it makes it intimate. You have the ocean right there. Mm-hmm. You have the garlic fries and all the smells.
I love the garlic fries.
Right? And I love that ballpark, even though the Rockies are just god awful there.
They can't hang there.
Okay, I got to ask you. My number 3 was Fenway.
Oh, Fenway's good too. I used to work at a Fenway sports bar, so I've spent a lot of time at Fenway too.
It's pretty awesome.
It is awesome.
It's about as old school as you can get, right? The concourses are old and narrow.
It's so old. Right? Even the seats are a little too small.
Right, and there's poles that some people have to peer around and all that. But come on.
I love the seats that don't face the action, like they're just facing the middle of the outfield.
Yeah.
Wild.
The one on my list that I get a lot of grief for that wasn't real high, and I think it was like 9th maybe, is Dodger Stadium.
Interesting.
Because some people think Dodger Stadium is like the perfect baseball palace, right? It sits in Chavez Ravine. Mm-hmm. You have the San Gabriel Mountains out there. On a summer night, if the smog's not too bad, you can, beautiful sunsets, the whole thing. But it doesn't do much for me. Yeah. The color of the seats, kind of those light, those pastels, and just, I don't don't know. I mean, maybe just because I hate the Dodgers.
I was going to
so
say,
much.
do you think you're a little biased because
Yeah.
one, the team always beats up on the team you cover, but
Right.
also as a journalist when you're there, it's a very inconvenient ballpark. Like there's
It
just a
is.
lot of stairs. You have to fight through crowds in a
It
way that
is.
we don't have to do at Coors Field, just to like go down to Clubhouse after a game.
Yeah.
Do you think that that's playing in?
That probably, and that damn speaker they have in center field, right? The Death Star speaker, like
Yes.
some of the Star Wars.
Yeah.
It is so loud and so annoying. I hate that. The one thing I will give Dodger Stadium props for, when the Dodgers win, and when I'm there, they usually beat the Rockies. I got to admit, when they play Randy Newman's "I Love L.A." after they win,
Yeah.
you know, and I like Randy Newman. You know, I like that song. That's a pretty cool stick it to the opposition song, right?
It doesn't really get much better than,
No. Yeah.
a song about love in the city.
Yeah, that's
with
pretty
the team.
awesome.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. But, you know, there are so many great ballparks out there. A couple that have grown up with me over the years, St. Louis, Busch #3.
So humid, but again,
It is.
beautiful view.
Yeah, and when it first started, I didn't like it because I thought it felt thrown together. And Ballpark Village, which surrounds Busch now, wasn't there yet. It was basically just a big hole in the ground.
It's really brought everything together,
It
though.
has, and I think that made a big difference. And the fans at Busch are phenomenal. You know that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, a guy gets his first hit as a major leaguer for the other team, and they give him a really warm, nice round of applause. They pay attention.
Yeah.
Right?
I love knowledgeable fans
I
because
do
there are
too.
so many fan bases that are not. Dodgers fans are them quite
Yeah.
often.
Yeah, I
Every
agree.
pop out, they're cheering like it's going to be a home run. I'm like, act like you've been here, please.
Yeah, good point, right?
Yeah.
Now you go back east, Philly.
Yes, Philly fans are
which
very
Citizens Bank
knowledgeable.
ballpark is a good ballpark.
It's a great ballpark.
I love the color scheme. It's a little far out from downtown, but it's right near all the other venues on
It's
Broad
in-
Street right there.
It's
right?
exactly where it needs to be.
Right.
It shares a parking lot with all the other sports
Yes.
venues, and it's you know exactly where you're going for all the games.
And those fans,
They're crazy.
they are, and they're into it, and they know baseball, and they know how to heckle guys, the other team, and I think that's great.
They're so good at it.
I know Ryan Spielborgs, you know, when he used to play, he had a love-hate relationship.
Yeah.
Because the fans would get real personal, right? They'd
They're
dig-
like looking you up.
Right, they dig up info on you, and, you know, I don't know. So that's cool. And then City Field in the or not in the Bronx, in Queens,
Yeah.
where the Mets play. I like that ballpark, too.
I like that one too.
I'm
yeah.
not a big fan of the new Yankee Stadium, though. I thought it was sterile.
Oh, you know what? That's what so many Yankees fans say about
I
it
just-
too.
And I went to the old one, and it was cool. I didn't think it was all that, but it was so old. And you figure all the heroes that have played there through the years. So that was cool to see, and I'm glad I went. But the new Yankee Stadium left me really cold. It
Yeah.
did nothing for me at all. Yeah.
I will say I always have a good time at Yankee Stadium, but also like I lived in Connecticut for so long, where there's a train that goes right from New Haven to the steps of Yankee Stadium.
that's
So it gets
awesome.
very easy to get to Yankee Stadium. So we went to a bunch of games, and I have like my routine. There's a Benihana. I will get my fried rice. I will get my big tall beer. There's like a standing room section that I love to sit in, and like you always meet the most fascinating people.
Yes.
So it's like I have like my routine at Yankee Stadium that I actually really like, but yeah, it's like it feels like a mall.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Exactly.
Again, I'm like going to the food court, stopping at the mall.
You know, one of the things I liked, and unfortunately the Post doesn't send me on many trips anymore because of the day and age of journalism, we just don't have the bucks anymore.
Yeah.
But, going to New York, I always used to like it because I'd stay at this little hotel in Midtown Manhattan near Bryant Park.
Ooh.
It was about a 5-minute walk to the subway, the 7 train. I'd take the 7 train, which is kind of notorious. I thought it was interesting. It never scared me. All the way out to the Queens.
Yeah.
And you'd get off in Flushing and walk right to City Field. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah.
Real neat, just a great urban experience. I
Yeah,
always thought
yeah,
that
it is
was
super
cool.
easy if you're a visitor in New
Yeah.
York to like navigate that one piece of the subway that you have to take.
Exactly.
I think it's a great part too. I think they have amazing food. I think it's
do.
some of the best food in baseball.
Yeah, right. Didn't they have one of the first Steak and Shakes? Don't they have a Steak and Shake out in
It's
center
a Shake
field?
Shack, yeah.
Shake Shack,
yes,
that's what it
is.
is.
It is a Shake Shack out there. Yeah, people were like losing their minds over it. And I'm like, I mean, you can go to a Shake Shack outside of this park. It doesn't only exist here.
No, but the line is like 45
It
minutes.
is.
Right?
It's so long. So I didn't go because I'm like, well, I'm hungry. I need to eat. But there's so many, like, there's always like unique vendors there who are like making stuff that you just can't find at other ballparks. I've always had a good time there.
Yeah, me
despite
too.
the Mets fans.
Yeah. The Mets fans are a little bit annoying, is a good way to put it, right?
There's something.
Yeah.
I mean, we're all in a blood feud, like me growing up in Philly.
Yeah.
It's a blood feud. Let's take a pause real fast and talk about our friends at Coors Light. Guys, when you are ready to choose chill, that's how you know it's a good time to choose Coors Light. And when the mountains on the can are blue, that's how you know it's as cold as the Rocky Mountains. Coors Light is cold lagered, cold filtered, and cold packaged for a smoother finish. It only knows a life of chill. So when you are ready to embrace that chill mindset, it is a great time to choose chill and crack open that Coors Light. Coors Light, that mountain cold refreshment, crisp and refreshing, just like the Rocky Mountains. Make the most of the times you choose to chill. Choose Coors Light. Get Coors Light delivered straight to your door with Instacart by going to CoorsLight.com/DNVR. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Guys, buy tickets responsibly with Game Time. Guys, the Rockies are going to be back right after the All-Star break, so you could buy tickets now. You could save a ton, though, even when you wait very close to first pitch. But yeah, they got those last-minute deals. You can save up to 60% buying last-minute tickets, not just for Rockies games, all the sports, all the concerts, all the comedy shows, theater, and we have all of that going on in Denver, too. They have zone deals where you can choose the section, like Game Time choose the seats. You're going to save even more. They have a feature where you click a little button. It's going to show you the total price. It's called all-in pricing. It's going to show you, including all the fees, so you don't have to be surprised by anything that might turn up at checkout. But they're also going to give you the lowest price. That's their guarantee. And if they don't, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Game Time, that purchase also covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Take the guesswork out of buying Major League Baseball tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code DNVR for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply, but again, create an account, use code DNVR for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right, back to the interview.
So what is the most, in your opinion, what's the most like, not the ugliest, worst ballpark? Because Oakland would be there. Seriously.
Gosh, Oakland.
And like we talked about, Tropicana, at least for me, some of the other ones. Is there a ballpark out there, Suzie, that you think is just like blah? Just
blah.
And I know exactly the one I'm thinking of.
Blah. Miami's a little blah.
It is, but at least they try.
It's not. Yeah, at least it's nice.
It's not
it's
a great ballpark. I'm thinking of Angel Stadium.
Oh, right. Oh, the food there's awful too.
Well, and think about it. It's it's freeways surrounding it, Orange County, California, parking lots as far as the eye can see, a fake Disneyland kind of rock thing, which is why is this,
like literally from a set.
Yeah, why is this fake mountain in the middle of Orange County?
It's weird.
It's just not. It's boring.
It's
a boring ballpark.
But parking is amazing.
Yeah,
very easy to park.
That's true.
When you're on a road trip, you cherish those parking spots.
That's true.
And I mean, at least like the one thing they had going for them when they had Ohtani, oh my gosh, the fans there just obsessed with him.
Yeah, that's true.
So I feel bad. I feel sad for them. I'm sure they jumped ship.
Oh yeah. Oh God, yes. Yeah. Now Dodger Stadium. Yeah. Oh well. Dodgers can buy anything they want. So.
They really can.
Yeah.
All to get swept by the Phillies in the postseason.
Yeah, for sure.
Which could happen. Might happen. I have a question though. Since you're from Colorado, what team did you follow growing up?
Oh, that's easy. I grew up as a huge St. Louis Cardinals fan because of my father. My dad, who passed away, 2 years ago, he grew up here too. He's a Denver native. But back in the day, there were no teams west of the Mississippi. And my dad could get KMOX radio at night, and he could listen to Cardinals games. And my dad was orphaned as a kid. And he had some people take him in, but he lost both of his parents when he was young. So baseball was kind of his companion.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I know, right? And so he learned to love the Cardinals, Stan Musial in particular. because of KMOX radio. So when we were little kids, he raised us to be Cardinals fans because all we had here in Denver was the Denver Bears, which was the minor league team. Mm-hmm. And it used to drive my mom nuts because he would still listen to KMOX because this is before cable TV.
Yeah.
Because I'm old, Susie. So what we would do, he'd put it on the radio and around, sometimes and I'd get really staticky. You know, it would be hard to find. Mm-hmm. It drove my mom nuts. Like, she can't handle it. So we'd get in the car and we'd drive up. I grew up in Arvada. We'd drive up to one of the highest point in Arvada, park the car, and we'd listen to the games on the radio with my dad.
Wait, that's adorable,
Yeah,
though.
isn't that cool?
Also, I mean, I still listen to a ton of baseball on the radio.
Yeah.
Baseball on the radio is just so good. Like, you
is.
can't top it.
We
have all this technology, and still nothing is better than just listening to a game on the radio.
Exactly. So that was in the era, you know, the Cardinals' late 60s glory years. Bob Gibson, Tim McCarver, Mike Shannon, Kurt Flood, Lou Brock, all those guys. And I remember vividly, I was in 4th grade when the Cardinals lost in 7 games to the Tigers in 1968. See, I told you I was old. And I was in 4th grade, and Mr. Simpson, I remember this is so funny you bring these memories up. Mr. Simpson let us listen to the game in the radio, principally because of me, because he knew. And I
love this.
I remember Bob Gibson was pitching for the Cardinals against, I think it was Mickey Lolich for the Tigers. And the Cardinals had the Tigers up 3-1. And the Tigers came back to win the series. And Bob Gibson lost Game 7, and Bob Gibson never lost a World Series game. And he lost it in part because Kurt Flood, the great center fielder, lost a ball. Didn't lose it, but he misplayed a ball in the outfield and came back to haunt him. And I was just crushed. I went home. I was crying. I was just a 4th grader. But,
just a kid. You're just a little kid, you know?
Yeah, but no, that was my team, was the Cardinals when I was a kid.
I love that you wrangled the whole class to be in on it, too.
And it was really neat. And one more quick anecdote.
Love this.
I think it was the first year of the new Bush. I think it was 2006. Mm-hmm. I had a road trip to St. Louis, and for Father's Day, I took my dad with me because it was over Father's Day weekend. Mm-hmm. And it was really cool. We went to the game. I think my dad, because he was a TV critic for the Rocky Mountain, the old Rocky Mountain News for years, he went up in the booth with Drew Goodman, George Frazier.
Oh my gosh!
Because they knew him, and so he did a thing there. And he met Todd Helton, and he met Clint Hurdle, and he schmoozed. It was really cool for him.
Oh, I love that.
And then Sunday, after Father's Day Sunday, my dad and I and my good buddy Thomas Harding, we all went out to dinner at Mike Shannon's restaurant, which was a famous steakhouse, which is no longer there. Mike Shannon was third baseman for the Cardinals and then a long-time voice of the Cardinals.
I miss the days of athletes opening up a steakhouse, you know? Bring it back.
Exactly. So we went there for Father's Day dinner, me and Thomas and my dad. Pretty sweet memory.
I love that.
Yeah,
That's such a great story.
It's pretty good.
Man, which Rocky do you think would open up a steakhouse first?
Well, you know, Dante Bichette had a restaurant on 17th Avenue for years.
Wait, I didn't know that.
Yeah, on 17th. I'm not sure even what's there now. But, you know, that was back in the day when some of the guys actually stayed around the city.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that Ryan McMahon has a home down in the Cherry Hills area, a Denver home, and Chris Bryant does too. A lot of these guys rent places, but, man, very few Rockies actually live in Colorado. Most of them go to Arizona.
Yeah.
That's where even Kyle Freeland,
yeah.
his main base is now in Scottsdale.
To be fair, I don't need to live like steps away from my parents either. So.
I know.
But it is so interesting though that so many Rockies don't spend the whole off season here because we have great off season weather. Yeah, we get some snow, we get some cold, but we get the sun.
But
we have so much sun.
You know, Herman Marquez tried that a few years ago, 3 years ago. He spent most of the off season here. And it was a very cold winter, and he didn't like it. And he thought it set him back. Really?
Oh my gosh!
Because a lot of the players go down to Scottsdale where it's warm the whole time, and they train together all off season.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You know, I don't know. I wonder if it would make the Rockies a better team if more guys. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm just throwing it out there. If
but
more guys
like,
played, or lived here and trained here and got used to the altitude, I don't know.
I don't know. But also, I mean, you're only at altitude for half your games.
That's true.
You know?
That's true.
It's wild.
Yeah.
The team that we get to watch every day.
Yeah.
All right. So I do want to talk about these current Rockies.
Sure.
You had posted something on Twitter. You put a mailbag out every week, but you had posted how, it's so active, it's better than apathy. You still get so much response every mailbag.
Yeah.
And just I think you mentioned you're like a sounding board. People are venting to you. Are you the therapist?
That's a great point. Yeah, if I am a therapist, Suzie, I'm not sure how good I am at it, but because I don't solve any problems.
You are the Fraser Crane of Rockies baseball.
My God. I love Fraser. I love that show. Yeah, you're right. It's funny. The way it works is because they mean our editors, we submit it into a big pool, and then my editors give the questions back to me.
Oh, interesting.
Right, that way there's kind of a person in between. It just makes it verifies it a little bit.
So we know that you're not just picking your favorite answers that you want to answer.
Right,
Yeah.
and so they, each week or every other week, they will send me this list of questions, and sometimes there's a lot, sometimes there's not very many. There certainly aren't as many as there were even last year, certainly not as many as there were when, say, the Nolan Arenado trade went down, right?
Oh, gosh.
And it's funny, I would say a good half of them never see the light of day for my mailbag because they aren't really questions. They're just people just venting. And there's no question involved. And it's usually about, you have to tell Dick Monfort to sell the team. Well, first of all, he's not going to sell.
He's not.
Second, he's not going to listen to me. I have his phone number. I've texted him a number of times for the last couple of years. Dick doesn't return my texts anymore. So I don't think that's really the solution.
Yeah.
And then there's always the, fire the hitting coach, fire the third base coach, fire Buddy Black.
It's always fire everyone, yeah.
Cut Chris Bryant yesterday. How come the Rockies didn't sign Shohei Ohtani? It's just, some of them is just like ridiculous. Come on, guys.
Yeah.
So I try to pick some that I can have some sort of intelligent response to.
Yeah.
But every once in a while, I'll run one because I want those readers to get a sense of what their fellow fans are venting about. So once in a while, I'll run one kind of like, even though there's not a real question in there, because I think sometimes the Rockies. One of their weaknesses as an organization, in my opinion, I think they take the fans for granted sometimes. Right? It's a great ballpark, beautiful summer nights. God, the sunsets and the atmosphere. It's a wonderful place.
And they know people are going to show up.
They do. And, it's a family-friendly park. It's great. You don't get fights or a bunch of drunks in the stands and stuff.
Yeah.
It's wonderful. But I do think at some point, the Monforts in the front office have to realize, people are starting to lose interest. Don't you think? I think the apathy's growing because the team on the field, it might be a little more interesting than it was last year. It's not just losing 100 games, like 103 like last year. This team lacks a personality. Don't you think?
I think I think a lot of the individual players have great personalities.
They do, but the Rockies
there's no big one vibe.
But the Rockies haven't done a really good job in getting. I don't know. It's just.
Should we put them all in a reality show together?
So I don't. Yeah. Right,
Why not?
Right. Yeah, you're right, Suzie. There are some really exciting. Brendan Doyle is becoming a star before our eyes.
Oh my gosh.
Right?
I was watching MLB Network the other day, and one of the hosts was like, Brendan Doyle, the best player that you don't know about. I'm like, well, we know.
Yes.
We know all about him. And we've been preaching to the whole fan base about, you got to pay attention to this guy.
And Tovar's the same way,
Yeah.
although he's in an awful slump. He got a hit yesterday.
Yeah.
He was, 0 for 27?
He might have been 30. Like, it was pushing 30,
really bad. But I think he'll find his way. But Brendan Doyle is, you've interviewed him many times, so have I. Very polite, very nice, opens up to his teammates, shows that fire. But at least with me, he's very buttoned down. He's very, he thinks, he's thoughtful, he thinks about his answers, and he's not going to give you a lot.
Yeah.
Right?
We're going to pause just one more time. We have to mention our friends at Chinook Seedery. Listen, these are the biggest seeds on the market, fam. And no sandpaper tongue, no salty burn. You can eat those seeds all day long without it tearing up your mouth. I know this. I've seen it happen. We have to mention Tiff in all of these reads because she is our sunflower seed queen. But guys. Also, they have flavors that you're not going to find anywhere else. Original, lemon pepper, jalapeno ranch, Parmesan and pepper, cinnamon toast, dill pickle, hatch chili, smokehouse barbecue. You can try all of them. You can order the sampler pack and try all 8 flavors. Head over to ChinookSeedery.com and use code ROCKIES for 20% off your order of the best seeds ever. All right, maybe you're probably going to find the best truck ever with Toyota. Toyota's the official vehicle of DNVR and trucks. Trucks have always been a part of Toyota's DNA. For generations, Toyota has built durable legends destined for greatness and perfect for Colorado. So whether you're conquering off-road trails or hauling the weight of the world, there is a Toyota truck that is right for you. Maybe it's the 2024 Tacoma. Maybe it's the Land Cruiser. But really, they have 17 models available with all-wheel drive or four-wheel drive, like the 4Runner, because we need that here in Colorado. We got some crazy weather during some times of year. But Toyota, by the way, we care about our environment. Toyota does too. They have more zero and low-emission vehicles combined than any other automaker to give customers so many choices to reduce their carbon footprint. And also those SUVs taking command on the road and on the trail so you can explore the road less traveled without sacrificing smooth city rides and SUVs like the RAV4 and the Grand Highlander. So visit your Front Range Toyota stores at a location near you. AutoNation Toyota Arapahoe and Centennial, Corwin Toyota in Boulder, Groove Toyota in Littleton, Mountain States Toyota in Denver, Stevenson Toyota East in Aurora, Stevenson Toyota West in Lakewood. Toyota, the official vehicle of the Colorado Rockies and the official vehicle of DNVR. All right, now back to our interview. Enjoy. Do you think that some of that or a lot of that is like, I just see a lot of players with such a distrust to members of the press because so many quotes just get taken out of context. Like, yeah, I would be on edge too every time I talk to someone. And that's so unfortunate. And I don't think I'm like that. I don't think you're like that, but there are a lot of outlets that definitely kind of take some quotes and run with them.
And that's so true. And if you see players from other organizations who come into Colorado, their guard is up with the media from the get-go. Because Denver, let's face it, it's a pretty soft media market. I mean,
we're pretty nice.
We are. I mean, compared to New York or Philly or LA or Chicago or whatever, we're pretty soft on these guys. And I'm not saying that's a good thing. I'm just saying it's the truth. But I notice when some players come in, they seem really guarded. I'll give you an example. I think Cal Quantrill, who's a very nice guy, and he's very thoughtful, terrific interview. But at first, I think he had a little bit of armor up.
Yeah.
And I've since gotten to know him a little bit and talked to him off the record, and I think we've kind of gained a little more wiggle room, a little more trust. But but you're right about that. I think in this day and age of social media, when so many people can take pot shots via Twitter or whatever on athletes, and they all say they don't read it and don't see it. I don't know if that's true or not, but their wives do, and their moms do, and their girlfriends do, and their dads do, and it gets back to them. And I tell you what, Suzie, when Twitter first came out and I first started getting involved, using it a lot, I made my fair share of mistakes where I would kind of cross the line and for a beat writer and kind of make it a little personal. And I heard about it from some players, and I kind of learned my lesson. I'll say the facts and I'll state my opinion, but I don't go where the fans go. And I did that a few times. I learned my lessons.
Yeah.
Because people found out about it, and they told me face to face about it.
Yeah.
Why did you tweet that? And it got nasty a couple times. So I learned my lesson.
I was going to say, we've seen that happen with members of the media, even in more recent years.
Yes.
So the younger reporters are still learning that lesson.
That's true.
If they're open to learning it. Some people don't learn the lesson.
That's true.
Yeah. Also, just on piggybacking on the social media of it all, even if you do write a story, it's so easy for a person on Twitter to just take a screenshot of that quote and be like, look what he said, and just take out all the context. So in a way, so many of the great stuff that we all put out can be taken out of context at any time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I understand the athlete's point of view about context.
Yeah.
A perfect example was the story that The Athletic ran about Chris Bryant earlier this year, where it made it sound like he had no belief in the Rockies and just disparaged some of the players and stuff. Well, I wasn't eavesdropping, but I happened to be in the clubhouse down in Scottsdale in spring training when that reporter for The Athletic was interviewing
You were there.
Chris. And I just happened to be right near it, and I heard a lot of those questions. I heard a lot of his responses. And when the story came out, I was like, wait a minute, this is being misportrayed. And then Chris Bryant, who I've been pretty tough on, I must say, he immediately went to the Rockies PR people, and I think Thomas Harding of MLB.com was the only one, only reporter still at spring training at the time. And Chris Bryant went to Thomas, and this is what I actually said, what I meant to say, and he tried to clear the air. But what happens is, a guy like KB or whoever it would be, if they think you're either misquoting him or taking him out of context or using something that they thought was off the record and you use it anyway and you break their trust, that gets around to the other players. And I've seen other reporters start getting the cold shoulder and getting frozen out because the players start saying, hey, watch out.
Yeah.
Don't talk to him or her because they can't be trusted. It's a fine line.
Yeah.
Because you've got to be critical.
You have to, yeah.
Right? You've got to be. And I am critical of the Rockies. A lot of the fans out there don't think I'm critical enough, but, you got to look yourself in the mirror, too, and be honest.
Well, everyone's got an opinion about everything.
Yes.
You know?
Oh, my God. In this day and age, are you kidding me?
Oh, my gosh. I'm drowning.
Yeah, no question.
Oh, my gosh. All right. My final question for you. Okay. So, obviously, a very unique, a very difficult team to cover at times. But for you this season so far, what has been the highlight or a favorite storyline of yours that you've seen play out?
Couple of them. We already mentioned Brenton Doyle. I really admire the fact that he was a really bad major league hitter last year. Right? He barely made it over the Mendoza line. I think he hit 203, if I'm not mistaken.
He did end the season over two.
Right? I think it was 203.
Yeah.
Now, he had a few, I think he had 10 homers, some stolen bases. But the fact that he was able to put in the time, the effort, and accept the fact that he needed to change and did it, that's a cool story. I think Kyle Freeland has been phenomenal because K-Free, he is he's terrific. Is he ever going to match his 2018 season when he had a 2.85 ERA, 17-7? No, I don't.
I mean, who could?
No,
who could?
Not
It was spectacular.
Not pitching at altitude.
Yeah.
But the fact that he had that awful start and then he gets hurt, and then he comes back and he's pitching Wednesday night, I believe, but he comes back and his first three starts are really good.
So solid.
And he takes so much pride in trying to be good for Colorado and for his hometown team. And I really admire it. And a thing I like about Kyle is a lot of the guys on this team, they're afraid to really ever say anything about the team's failures. Now, Kyle doesn't throw anybody under the bus, but Kyle will tell you he's sick of the way things are going, or he's sick of the losing. And to see him come back and really put his ability where his mouth is, so to speak, is really cool. So those are the two that strike me.
Yeah.
What about you?
Oh my gosh, great question. Well, first of all, you just mentioned two dudes who have the same birthday.
They
both
do?
such Tauruses.
Oh my gosh.
They do have the same
Oh,
birthday.
that's right. You're
Yeah. I'm an astrology weirdo.
That's right.
I think one of my favorite stories also has been Brenton Doyle. I love Ryan McMahon heading to the All-Star
me too.
game.
Yeah, I neglected that. Yeah.
Because, this is a guy that I was covering since 2017, like back in Hartford. So I'm just
Right.
like, to see like another one of those players who like I saw like at the very early stages. And now I'm like, he's like a father now. Like he's just grown up so much and an all-star now. I love to see that.
And he's a genuinely wonderful person.
Yes.
He really is.
And he'll always, I love this too, like after a hard game when, the clubhouse is looking a little sparse and people might not be so eager to talk to the media about what just happened, he will always be the person to be like, I will talk to you guys.
Yeah.
And I love that. That's leadership, that is stepping up, and I love the future he has.
I agree. That's a great point. And I remember one time distinctly where Ryan, as you mentioned, was one of the few guys who's available to the media particularly after a loss. And I asked him something that irritated him, and he kind of snapped at me, which is unusual for Ryan, which was fine. I didn't think anything of it. So I'm driving home. I get a text from him, text message, and he's like apologizing to me for snapping.
Oh.
I'm like, I told him, it's like, Brian, I mean, you're the one who just played in front of 35,000 people and you guys just lost whatever, your 7th straight or whatever it was. You don't have to apologize for him, but that's the way he is.
Yeah. Manners. Oh,
yeah.
that's amazing.
And I will say this about this current Rockies. They're a good group of guys, but it does bug me that clubhouse is so empty so often. Mm-hmm. I know they're losing. Back when Cargo was here and Charlie used to make himself available, which is very rare these days. And Nolan, although Nolan and Tulo could both be kind of prickly, they at least were there. DJ LeMahieu was boring as white bread, but at least he was there, right? But sometimes now, and you come in after a loss, and seriously, sometimes there'll be 3 or 4 people there.
I was going to say, it just seems like, I've only been here for a couple of years, but every year it's just a little more empty after a game. So that's interesting. But I know also, I talked to other reporters from other markets and they're like, oh my gosh, you have players who are in the clubhouse before the game, during clubhouse hours, because apparently a lot of other teams, they will just avoid that whole hour.
Yeah. Well, and today's modern ballparks at home anyway, players can go anywhere. They have the batting cage, the training room, the food room, the quiet room,
They have so many places to hide from us.
Yeah. So they don't need, and in this day and age, they really don't feel like they really need the media partnership, which is kind of too bad. But
yeah, also at the same time, though, we're also in an age where players don't need us to tell their stories. They can tell their own story.
That's
They
what
can
I'm
start
saying.
a podcast. They can tweet all they want. They can start a blog. They have a lot more power in their hands in terms of the public and what the public knows about them.
You're exactly right. And hey, can't blame them.
Yeah.
I guess they want to put their best public face out there.
Don't
I get
we
it.
all?
Yeah, well, we try.
We try. I certainly try.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you for facing the public here on the
this
show.
was fun.
Thank you for coming
This
in.
was great. We talked about a lot of different stuff.
I
This was
know.
cool. I like
oh my
this.
gosh. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for
You're
your
welcome,
time.
Suzie.
And we will keep reading those mailbags.
Okay, thanks. Appreciate it.
Okay, I loved that interview so much. Again, so grateful that Patrick Saunders made the time to come in and visit us here at Colfax in York. But guys, this show will be back Sunday at 3:30. Because by the time we start that show, the Rockies more than likely will already have their first round draft picks. So we are going to keep an eye on all of that, break it all down. And of course, we have so much baseball to talk about between now and then. So that's that. I guess I will see you guys then. But Kale, you know what I love to say, though, about closing out a show?
What do you say, Suze?
I love to say, that's baseball. That's the show. We will be back right here on the DNVR Sports YouTube channel at 3:30 p.m. Mountain Time on Sunday. Have a great weekend.
We all silly like the mayor.